Hi, everybody. So the next section, section 2 from chapter 16, is about the mean, median, and mode. And so these are what are known as measures of central tendency. They'll talk about ways you can find sort of the center of the data. And each one of these things will measure slightly different things. And that's kind of all we're going to get into with statistics stuff. I mean, there's a lot more to statistics than just what we're covering in this section. So if you want to learn more about stats, right, you could take a separate statistics course. So step 1 is about finding the mean of a list of numbers. Step 2 is to find the weighted mean. Step 3, or objective 3, is to find the median, and objective 4 will be to find the mode. So what is the mean of a list of numbers? So it's a measure of central tendency, right? A single number that sort of shows where the middle of the data is. And the mean is the average of a collection of numbers of the data. In other words, you basically, to calculate the mean, you add up all the values and then divide by the total number that you have. Right? So if you wanted to find like the average height of a bunch of people, you would take all their heights and add them together and then divide by the number of people you've measured. Right? Here's another example. So let's go back to Bev, and so she's promised 7 of her workers at Bev's Deli that they all work about the same number of hours. One employee commented that she worked considerably more hours than the other employees last month. The number of hours worked by each of the 7 employees during the past month are given by the following. Right? Find the mean to the nearest hour. Right? So to take the mean, you'd add up all the numbers, right? So add 75 plus 63 plus 76 plus 82 plus 70 plus 81 plus 149. Right? Hopefully that'll give you a sum of 596, and then divide that number by 7. Right? And that gives you 85. So the mean of 85 seems a bit large, since one of the employees worked a lot more hours than the other 6 employees. And the mean without this value, if you subtracted the 149, would be 75. Right? So maybe that maybe that one worker, assuming this number is accurate, maybe this is a mistake or something. But assuming this is accurate, maybe it's pretty obvious that one of the employees is probably working quite a bit more. So let's talk about finding the weighted mean. So the weighted mean, or sometimes called the weighted average, you calculate that by taking each value, and it's the product of the value itself and the number of times it occurs. So here's an example. So let's say we want to find the weighted mean of the numbers given in the table, right? So who knows what these values are, but they occur with a given frequency, right? So the value 3 occurs 4 times, right? The value 5 occurs 2 times. So if I actually wrote out the data, I don't know if I'll write it out, but I'd write 3 times 3, 3, 3, 3, because I got 4 3s. I've got 2 5s, 1 7. You could also just write the data out and then calculate the mean, kind of like we did in the last example. But if it's a weighted mean, you basically take the number of the value times the frequency with which it occurs, and then you divide by the total number. Right? So that's why it's kind of weighted. It's kind of like the values have different weights or something like that. So again, just multiply those numbers across, and then add that together. That gives you 154. Divide by 20, and that gives you 7.7 for the weighted mean. Okay. So that's another kind of mean that you can calculate depending on the data that you're given. Now another measure of central tendency, or a measure of the middle of a group of numbers, is the median. So the median divides a group of numbers in half. Half the numbers lie at or above the median, and half the numbers lie below the median. So to find the median, you list the numbers from smallest to largest as an ordered array, and then you find the median. So just find out where the middle of that data is. If there's an odd number of numbers, then the median is the number in the middle. Find it by dividing the total number of numbers by 2, and use the next larger whole number in the array. Okay. If there are an even number of numbers, then the median is the average of the 2 numbers in the middle. Find it by dividing the total number of numbers by 2, the median is the average of this number and the next largest number. Find the median of the following weights. So you take 30 pounds, 25 pounds, 28 pounds, 23 pounds, and 24 pounds. And then you want to do the same thing with the second list. So the first thing that you want to do is list these in order and then try to find the middle, right? So list these in order, right? So since this is an odd number of units, right, the median would just be the number in the middle, right? Half the data is above, half is below, right? It's not the mean. The mean and median are different numbers, right? To find the mean, you'd want to add the numbers up and then divide by 5. Okay? For the next set of numbers, here you've got an even number, so if you look at the middle of the data, there is no number in the data set that corresponds to that, right? The median would be somewhere between 17 and 18, so just pick half the distance between those two. So one thing to be aware of is that, the median may not be a number in your data set. The mode then is the number that occurs most often, and so it's possible that you could have a no mode if every number occurs with the same frequency. Something is bimodal if it has two numbers that occur with the same frequency. So let's look at an example here. So this professor gives a test to both his day and evening classes, right? You want to find the mode of the tests given in each class. Which class has the lower mode? So here's the day class, right? And it's really kind of hard to tell what the mode is by looking at the data here. You might want to organize it. And then we'll look at the night class here. And then here's the data for the evening class. So again, what you might want to do, this is just really a matter of counting. It's kind of tedious. You could just search through the data here and see which thing occurs most often. You might want to arrange the data in order, like you could put it in a spreadsheet and rearrange it in order. In fact, most spreadsheet programs will actually have a way to find the mode automatically, so you don't have to count it. But if you look at the data, right, the mode for the first set of data is 80, right? So 80 occurs 6 times, right? See if I can find them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm missing one. Did I do them in order? Try to go in order here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 6 occurrences of 80 there, and I think that occurs more than any number in the list. So that would be the mode for the first data set. For the second data set, looks like the mode is 73, and that occurs 6 times. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, and that 73 occurs more often than any other number there, so that would be the mode. Okay, so hopefully that gives you guys an idea there of what to do with that section. It's not too difficult, but if you have questions, some of the questions can be kind of tricky, so make sure you ask.